of the headlines across newspapers around Nigeria, and I hope you're ready to be part of this by dropping your comments and your commentaries on the comment section, because we'd really love to hear your opinions about the headlines we'll be bringing to you shortly. And to go through these headlines with me is Victor Sioko. You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank God it's Friday.
Thank God it's Friday. I hope we're all getting ready to either rest. It's an Easter Friday. Today is Good Friday, so it's an Easter weekend. I think public holidays here in Nigeria will extend up till Monday, so no work today, Friday, and on Mondays. Nigeria will extend up till Monday, so no work today, Friday, and on Monday. So for those of you that have been really busy with work, you have time to relax and enjoy the Easter with family and friends. Happy Easter in advance to all of you celebrating Easter. And of course, make sure you enjoy the holiday and of course eat some rice with family and friends. Yes. All right, we're going to jump into taking the headlines, and today we're going to begin with Nigerian News Direct as our first paper for today. And let's see what the headlines look like. It says here, our recovery rate highest globally. AMCOM to NDA. Our recovery rate highest globally. AMCOM to NDA. You find story on page 13 of the Nigerian News Direct. We also see here, Buhari fires Saratu Umar as NIPC boss. Also on the top there, outcome of 2023 elections. There is no more easy roads to power. Buhari speaking. Stories on page 3 of the Nigerian News Direct. Moving on to the main headline here on the Nigerian News Direct, you see post-election trauma, confusion as LP, that is the Labour Party leaders, fight dirty over positions. Party National Working Committee declares replacement. And Battle Chair cries foul, accuses APC of attempt to inaugurate illegitimate executive. I also see here, NLC faults court judgment on sack of party executives, says it is meant to dissipate leadership to weaken party. All right, so that's like the major headline here. You find details of all of that story. It's on page 3 of the Nigerian News Direct. We move on to other headlines here. We see 2023 presidency, my counsel to Tinubu Atiku was to lead the stage for fresh blood. Soyinka speaking there. Page 2 is where you will get details of that story. All right, let's get into talking about the main headline here on Nigerian News Direct, which is we see that there's confusion in the Labour Party's camp. And this time, it is the Labour Party national chairman that is on the hot seat. He's been dragged on, almost removed from his seat, and he's crying that, yes, it is not the Labour Party that is doing this. Some external forces are beginning to, infiltrate the party and trying to cause chaos. What's your take generally on that story?
I think the Nigerian politics right now, we have an issue with our parties.
Yeah.
Okay? We already know that it's not just about the Labour Party.
It's happening in the APC, PDP, all of them. Practically all of them.
And maybe we should also mention APGA, because APGA's own is just too laughable. Laughable in the sense that they were like somebody just came in and did what they call a primary, a convention with his people, just from the blues.
Yeah.
Came in, did the primary with his people. There was no INEC official, but he's dragging that there is an INEC official. He went to court, he got some favorable judgments for himself, and so much confusion that there was an interview in TV where they invited the two parties, that's Channels TV, invited the two parties, and guy, it was just too dramatic. The other person, we don't know you, who are you? The person, I am the chairman. That is Nigeria
God,
for you. So that is what is looking at what is happening in the Labour Party. But the Labour is quite, let's say, quite sensitive in a way, because some persons out there are saying that, see, the APC, they're blaming it on the APC.
They are infiltrating the party.
That they are infiltrating the party because of the tribunal case. Some persons are out there saying that they want to put their own person, more like the person that they've bought, okay, to take charge so that they can do their biddings, so that they can withdraw the case in the Labour Party. But that might also just happen. This is just more like not certified information. Okay.
It is your opinion.
Okay.
What do you think about this?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, certified information. I mean, with respect of what we are hearing, that the
people
APC,
saying, okay.
have a hand in this.
Okay.
But if you check out what happened in Rivers State some weeks ago, before the Guba election, you can now see that opposition parties or other parties can buy out, might be money, might not be money, might be in by promises, might be in interest. Okay, can buy out these party leaders so that they can work for them. We saw that playing out in Rivers State, so I am not surprised. In fact, see, Nigeria is sorry, but we are really hopeless politically as it stands right now. Because who do you even run to in a case like this, whereby the judiciary can be also, you can also ask them the question, what is happening? We already have seen what happened during the Senate president's case, where nobody even imagined that somebody that did not participate in the primaries conducted their own another primary when INEC has certified the primary, the initial primary that was done. Before you know, he went to the appeal court, from appeal court, Supreme Court, he won the case, and that is it. And nothing. And he's back, and nothing can happen about it. So, in a situation whereby these big guns, these big guys know that with their power and their money, they can trample on this on the lesser people out there. You don't have to. There's nothing else you can do about it when it comes to in cases like this.
My question is, why now, though? You know, before leading up to the elections, before Peter Obi moved to the Labour Party, everything was cool, everything was at peace. Nobody cared about who was the national chairman or not. But once Peter Obi moved there, and the party, the Labour Party, saw that they have a chance of having some level of relevance in the country, or not that they even have a chance, they became relevant. They became a third force in the country with a lot of supporters, but from within the party and outside the party. Now we're beginning to hear things like some other elements are struggling to take leadership of the party. Why now? What's going on?
Because personally, I think the Labour Party have a case in court. Personally, I think so. Aside the major cases in court, or the major points that they've thrown out for the parade to the court to answer. What about, let's even come to this matter. What about the case whereby APC won Rivers State? How did that happen? You ask the question.
In a PDP state.
In a PDP state.
PDP controlled state.
In a PDP controlled state. Okay? Knowing that, even during the election itself, we saw those results. And those results have been uploaded. Some of the results correctly uploaded. We are still waiting. Let them do the accounting. The matter is still in court. No two ways about that. But when you see some white, clear cases that you will not be like, oh, if only the judiciary will not use the role of or the game. I will call it the game of technicalities to flush away that case. But when you see some cases, you just begin to wonder, how will this go against the person throwing out those cases? Now, the APC, one might say that the APC, they are using different avenues to make sure that they suppress the Labour Party. Let me tell you where I think that there is a whole lot of case to answer for the Labour Party, for APC. One, in particular, the vice presidential candidate of the APC, that is Shetima. You remember what happened in Bayelsa? That the deputy Guba candidate was not qualified.
Yes. And then they withdraw the entire case, the ticket.
Yes. So,
despite the fact that they won.
Despite the case that they won.
They were thrown out.
But now, in this case, yes, on paper, INEC has declared, or let me not even say on paper, INEC has declared APC the winner of the election. But now you ask, the vice presidential candidate, did he really was elected during their own primaries in the state, in Borno State, as a senatorial candidate before being nominated as the vice presidential candidate? which is the case that the Labour Party has prayed to the court to answer, that this man, that Senator Shetima, was already a senatorial candidate. He did not withdraw from it. Then he now got the VP becoming a vice presidential candidate. By our constitution, that should not happen.
Yeah.
So on that premise, on that case, that might just be just the killer for the whole tribunal case. But you know, also I say have a lot, but let's not dwell so much on that. Yes.
Much.
But when you now check the infractions happening in the Labour Party, knowing that Julius Abure has shown that he is not a man that can be pushed away anyhow. He is showing that he wants his party, he wants to be with his party, he wants to be the leader of his party. Yeah. But now there are still Nigeria. Well, it is not certified to that the interim or acting chairman is, will I say, has a relationship with Tinubu, with what they are saying, not fully.
They are alleging that.
Yes. But Abule, let's just.
It's a tough time for the Labour Party.
Oh my goodness. So
looking at the fact that they have a case in court that they should be concentrating on helping their party presidential candidate to ensure a win in that case. But now they are highly distracted with this internal rancor they are experiencing in their party. So it's very unfortunate and a hard time for them, because they stand a chance of, making it to the presidential villa. But all of this distraction could just cost them a lot, and which is not what they need at this time. I wish they could really resolve this on time, though.
And I think let's also not be surprised if, peradventure, you see that Atiku has been very quiet.
Yes.
What if Atiku's case is even stronger than the Labour Party? Knowing that one will not really say that Atiku did not get his votes. Okay, and just even like others will say, just imagine that there was no Labour Party and it was just Atiku against the APC. So for him to even be second position, he might still have strong cases, or maybe in terms of some places where elections might be, the votes might be recounted, he might apply and the votes were recounted and his numbers above the APC. So we might just not know what will happen. We might not just know. But lastly, when you look at the case that the P2B team and the Labour Party put out, you find out that it was not just Labour Party against the APC and against INEC. It was P2B was an individual in the case. So just in case the interim or the acting chairman comes out tomorrow and say we are withdrawing our case, P2B is still there. They cannot withdraw it for P2B unless P2B on his own withdraws it. But let's see how it plays, man.
Yeah, let's see how all of that plays out for the Labour Party, and of course their presidential candidate that's already at the tribunal contesting the results of the 2023 general elections. All right, we'll move on to other papers here for today, the 7th of April 2023, and our next paper will be This Day newspaper. And on this day here we have a headline: World Bank, Nigeria's growth recovery still fragile as oil production remains subdued. 22 African countries at high risk of external debt distress. Prescribed debt reduction, domestic revenue mobilization strategies. All right, we'll move on to other headlines here. We see armed police take over Labour Party's national headquarters. Page 34 is where you get details of that story. We also see Obasanjo, next government must strive to end nation's ethnic division. And the main headline here, or the headliner, you see Buhari, no more easy roads to power than electorate. No more easy roads to power than electorate. Happy voters rejected 10 governors' bids to Senate. Says 2023 polls results has changed nation's political landscape. Expresses belief Politics will be difficult henceforth, declares democracy as best system in Africa despite military incursions. Bids Angola UAE envoys farewell. All right, we also see a picture of Buhari and the envoys that he received over a few days ago. All right, let's go to the main story here, which is that of Buhari saying that, all right, that the days of politicians, taking over elections are over. Now it's not going to be easy for them because voters are now more woke than ever. What's your reaction?
I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Yes, there is an improvement. There's an improvement, but when you start looking at what happened during the just concluded election, the Guba state elections, you find out that these politicians were the game changers. They were ahead of everybody. Okay, for the fact that they went out, I will have to say, which state will I pick out? Let's pick the state that we are in here, River State, that we saw evidences, strong evidences where some polling units, ballot boxes were snatched and the results were uploaded. So would you not say that it is the people that have the control of the votes, of the elections? No, it is still down to the politicians. We got what happened in Lagos. We saw what happened in Lagos, where people were suppressed. We saw what also happened in, I will still mention River State, where some traditional rulers sent out their people to go and warn voters that if you are not voting for the PDP, that you should not come out. So it is not just about this. You're just making rhetoric. Mind you, Professor Wole Soyinka, who some people are even going hard on, have already said that his administration has failed us. That when he was supposed to even use the election and this Naira
to redeem himself,
to get himself back on track, but he couldn't.
It all up,
Yes, so the election was so bad. Observers have come out to put in their 2 cents on it. Even the UK Prime Minister that opened his mouth, we are seeing the backlash from even his people and Nigerians. That why would you even congratulate these people? And we already have seen that the US, or some people will say, what do we need the US for? They've not congratulated Tinubu because they've seen the outcome of the election. They've seen that it was marred by voter suppression, violence in its peak. People were killed, and they're not even talking about that. People are coming out, these same politicians are still coming out to say that we had the best election. How now? Because you have voted back and you're saying that we had the best election. It's really insane, my brother.
They've also put out the argument that out of maybe 1,500 polling units, if you have a few skirmishes at maybe 80 to 120 polling units, would you use that to rate the entire election as bad if you got more than 80% correct? And then maybe a few, maybe up to like 20%.
Who told them that they got up to 80% correct?
So that's what they are saying. As they are, and these comments are coming from people from the winning party. That's the APC. I've heard them say this many times. I've heard people like Festus Kayamo also defend the credibility of the elections with those kind of statements. And in my own take, I'll just say that true. Buhari is saying this based off of the fact that they are trying to add credence to the fact that he conducted an election in his government or the time of his government and it ran smooth. There's no way he will come out and condemn these elections because this is one of the things he says he will use to cement his legacies before he leaves the office. And of course, we saw the introduction of Vivas, and for them, they thought that would be the game changer. But at the end of the day, that wasn't the case. We saw different levels of desperacy from politicians. And just like you rightly said, politicians went ahead of us to create new ways of making sure that they clinch this power by any means possible. In the words of Tinubu, slash it, run with it, do whatever, but make sure you grab power. It's not served as a la carte. So they, of course, preempted the fact that, okay, if we're going to sit down and fold our hands and allow these voters, as Buhari is saying that they are taking over, we're going to allow these voters to decide, we will have no place.
Yes.
And, let me also pick something from Wole Soyinka when he said that he advised, people like Tinubu and Atiku to back down for young blood, fresh blood, to be infused into the system. But apparently they didn't listen. So, and then just because of that, he also, referring to Soyinka, he also made mention of the fact that the movements like the obedient movement was better due to the fact that people like him and many other Nigerians were tired of seeing the old, worn-out politicians. Let's have something new. So when the obedient movement was bettered, I'm sure these politicians, the older ones, were not ready to allow this obedience just take over the system. They want to still, according to the way they say it, contribute. Hence what we saw during the elections. So there's no way they can tell me that, or Buhari would come and say that elections are now very tough. I mean, typical example is River State, like you rightly said, where one man, spoke a word to his followers, gave them an enforcement order, and it was carried out by any means possible. And they didn't mind whether people were dying. The whole motive for them was to ensure that they enforced that order. So how is it that power has returned to the hands of the people? Okay, from the presidential elections to the governorship elections, you could see the big difference in voter participation. The governorship election, we had a lot of voter apathy. A lot of people still had their voters card. They were well in their heads, in their minds, but they told you, I'm not going out there. If my vote could not count during the presidential elections, why am I going out for the governorship elections? So if you go online, these details are available online. You will see the difference in numbers of people that came out for the presidential elections and the governorship elections. So I don't know where Buhari is getting his, confidence from saying what he's saying, but in actual sense, power has not truly returned to the people, the voters as it were, because politicians have not truly given themselves into allowing the general public, Nigerians as it were, to vote them, that this is the true leader. How many states celebrated as apart from Abia State that truly was in some kind of, they felt they were in some kind of imprisonment. And you could see the joy from the old, from the young, from the middle-aged, business women, market women, corporate organizations celebrating the fact that they feel that they've been liberated. And that's how you can say that, oh yes, truly power has gone back to the electorate. Don't say because probably your party won and you feel that, oh, the elections were fair. A lot more Nigerians feel disenfranchised. A lot more Nigerians feel, grieved by the way the election went. And that is something to be addressed. But unfortunately, we see both the, president-elect and his team members and the APC and people from the APC, people in leadership, trying to force their opinion down the throat of Nigerians and the world at large that the elections were free and fair and truly power has gone back to the electorates. My take, generally. All right, let's move on to our last paper for the day, but that will be after the short break. Once we come back, we're going to check our last paper, so you stay tuned and please drop your comments and the reactions on the comment section. If you haven't followed us on our social media handles, please do well to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and of course on Twitter. And those handles are showing right below the screen right now. See you shortly.
Hey there. Are you looking to record your videos, do your voiceovers, and take your professional pictures? Look no further. With our state-of-the-art newsroom, photography, kitchen for our food content creators, and exclusive children's studio, we certainly can deliver the best studio experience. Our carefully designed studio space can bring your diverse creative content ideas to life. We aim to consistently serve value to our customers far and wide. Come, let Tharv Media give life to your dreams. Tharv Media, a slice of infotainment.
Thank you for staying with us up to this time. You're welcome back from that very short break. We're still doing the newspaper headlines right here on the Newspaper Review on TAP TV. Let's go into our last paper for the day, and that will be Daily Trust for today, the 7th of April 2023. And on Daily Trust here, we have as headline, 10th National Assembly. APC governors give yardstick for choosing principal officers. All right, moving on to other headlines there. It says airlines cancel flights as FAAN oil marketers clash in Abuja. FIFA rankings, Nigeria slips to lowest position in 4 years, and that's really sad. I don't know why this happens every now and then. There's been a fluctuation here and there for Nigerian football, and that makes me wonder most of the time. But I hope we get to remain at a very good position for a longer while than we see most of the time. All right, moving on to other headlines. Let's go to the headliner here on Daily Trust. It says here, experts plays federal government's $800 million palliatives, say amount just 6% of 6 trillion annual subsidy. It will be 2,000 naira of one-off support per citizen. It will be 2,000 naira one-off support per citizen. No lessons learned from 16 billion naira wasted on Shopee in 2012. Details you'll find on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. We also see here many mourners killed in fresh attack on Benue community. We also see reps mandate 5-year practice for doctors before leaving Nigeria. Wow, interesting. Reps mandate 5-year practice for doctors before leaving Nigeria. We'll also take this last one. It says many missing as boat capsized in Bayelsa State. All right, find details of that story on page 8 of Daily Trust newspaper. All right, before we go into the main story we should be talking about, that headline really caught my attention though. What is the idea behind trying to keep these doctors here in the country for at least 5 years before they are allowed to leave the shores of this country, when we know that our health sector is in shambles, is in a very critical state? That's the very reason why these doctors are doing all they can to leave the shores of this country to places where their professions, their sacrifices, their services can be valued. I don't understand what is going on, but oh, there you go again. Our House of Reps members.
So one might say, you just have to be patriotic as a Nigerian. Fine. Because the cost of educating these doctors, okay, who bears the cost? Because mind you, in quote, our education is very cheap, okay? So they are coming from the angle, I think and I believe, they were coming from the angle that, see, the country has spent so much money on these persons, why then leave the country after getting trained, okay? But there should be a balance here.
That's it. There should be a balance. There should be a balance. All right.
They should know that. Okay.
No. You want to add? You can add before we move on.
They should know that even the doctors, yes, they've gotten this education. The process of becoming a doctor, the sacrifice as an individual alone, and at the end of the day, due to you've trained them in quotes, mind you, they still paid money. Due to you think you've trained them in quotes, you now want them to come and risk their lives in a country that will have poor security because of bad leadership, because of you same people that want to make these laws. You've given us bad leadership in this country and we don't have good security, no decent infrastructure. Somebody will just build the road, you just be like, I've done things for you now, our own money. But that's that side. Then, in welfare, like Abia State, will I be a doctor and I want to work in Abia State? For what reason? Where there are other opportunities. My brother, if you even go to Oman, that they are looking
like
at,
that, yeah.
Oman, they are looking out for doctors out there. And you say, if I have an opportunity to go to Oman to go and practice, that I should not go. For every 10 doctors in Nigeria, 9 wants to leave.
Very true.
And you say I should not go because of what? Because I have been trained, okay, I have wait, so them that are talking. What if they are being treated like these doctors? Mind you, most politicians, why they are looking for that position?
The doctors, they end the politicians, these House of Reps members that are trying to cook up these laws to try to restrain these doctors, and maybe 5 times more than these doctors. And they enjoy better working conditions than these doctors. Yes, these doctors want to save lives, but under the conditions that they do their jobs, it is pathetic. It is painful. If you've spoken to a doctor before, no doctor wants to lose a patient. But day in, day out, they lose patients because of unnecessary and, avoidable mistakes that are caused by bad infrastructure, bad working environment, bad equipment, they don't have medical equipment. So hospitals, some of these doctors graduate and they are languishing on the streets, no jobs. They don't employ them. So they go and work with private firms that pay them ridiculous amounts for so much that they do. Then you say that when they have a chance to move out of this trust, to better enjoy their profession, to better improve their lives, you say they should not go anywhere for 5 years. I hope that this law, they should review it properly.
It has gone second reading, okay. And it might.
All right. That's the funny thing about how these House of Reps members they are. They enjoy their lives for these 4 years or 8 years. Some of them have even made their family houses, But yet they ignore very critical things that should really improve the lives of Nigerians. Nigerians will live on a very thin line of thread.
How can I as a doctor work in an environment whereby there are no bandages, syringe?
You can imagine.
You as a patient in hospitals in Port Harcourt, government-owned hospital, the same government people that are talking all these things. You go to a hospital, the patient will be the one to go and buy syringe. You go and buy cotton wool, go and buy tissue paper.
How many times have we seen people go and attack UPTH here just because their loved ones or friends or whatever patients they took there died under circumstances that are avoidable? That is to tell you
like during operation they will take light.
Because there's no doctor that will say that they deliberately allow the patient to die. There's no such doctor. If you have such people, most of them have already lost their licenses, they are not in the system. But you see these doctors, the reason why they're traveling abroad to, still engage in their profession is because they enjoy what they do, they want to work, but let the conditions be right, both in remuneration and working policies, let it be right. They don't have, the reason why they are leaving is because they are frustrated. So the government should be looking more into, you see, one of the most sectors that have actually protested and have cried out most of the time in protest is the health and education sector. What are they doing over the years for these people?
Now, let me also tell you that the so-called doctors that they are saying that they should come here and they should remain here and suffer are also the ones out there sending in money, foreign direct investment. Let me tell you, as a builder, as somebody in the construction industry, I have plenty doctors that are outside the trust of this country, Nigerians that are doing 1 or 2 projects here or have finished their project. Same thing with nurses. Okay, but now when you now count the ones that are already here practicing, even pay them their salary. Look at Abia State, that old doctors even up to 2 years, and you are now expecting how would they even impact in this in their communities after years of toiling and schooling?
10 years.
And you now are telling them that they should remain here, and you want to pay them those peanuts, you want to imprison them. I call it, you want to imprison them.
I mean, the House of Reps members should look into that and please make the conditions right for these doctors to do their jobs here in the country. You don't want them to go out. Fine, good idea.
How many Nigerian nurses can build a house?
Yes, let them continue, because it's not like
how many Nigerian nurses can build a house, a 3-bedroom?
Yeah.
How many?
Very good question. But then again, we know that we don't want to lose all our doctors to foreign countries and all of that. But at the same time, while they are here ready to contribute their quota to the health system, please make the conditions right. How about passing laws that will better improve budgets for these health sectors? But now we're focusing on keeping them here first. Keeping them here for 5 years and all of that. You're keeping somebody that has not practiced here without a job for 5 years. I mean, it's pathetic. But let's move away from that story now. Let's talk about fuel subsidy. You know, it's been on the news for a while, owing to the fact that federal government has come out to say sometime in June they might be taking off fuel subsidy completely. But here on Daily Trust, we see this report as the main headline here that says experts play federal government's $800 million palliatives. It says amount just 6% of $6 trillion annual subsidy. You know, back then in 2012, we also saw the government of Goodluck Jonathan try to remove subsidy back then, and then there were palliative measures that he was introducing, including transportation and all of that, and they spent a lot of money doing that. And now we're back to the federal government saying, okay, we have about $800 million that we want to push into creating palliative measures before the removal of the subsidy. But then experts are coming out to tell Nigerians that we should not listen to that, because it's just about 2,000 naira per citizen. If broken down to, yes, let's see what your palliatives can do for each Nigerian, just about 2,000 naira per citizen. What's the reaction to all of that?
That is where this is still a leadership issue that we are talking about, where you have will I say somebody that had a pass in Igbo language becoming a federal House of Representatives, when you have leaders that are grossly incompetent. So this 800 million, look at how they have been shouting it, that Nigeria, we are getting $800 million from the World Bank, we are getting, forgetting that, not that they did not forget, they know what they are doing, that the same subsidy, you are spending 6 billion, 6 billion on subsidy, but this amount of just $800 million, which they've said, analysts have gone to say that if we are to share that money to every individual in Nigeria, Abule, you'll be getting 2,000. I'll be getting 2,000 naira.
That would be so ridiculous.
Money for bole and fish. For you just eat it and that one will go.
You eat it that one day and then you arrange yourself to face all the heat.
So you can imagine that is what they are hoping to use to hold on to removing the subsidy.
Where fuel price will rise up to over 700 naira per liter, and marketers will now have the liberty to sell as they buy. And there's a lot that will happen when this subsidy is taken out. We know that the good sides are there, but how about putting proper measures, realistic proper measures to mitigate the heat and the pressure that will come as a result of the removal of the subsidy? I don't know whether federal government enjoys it when Nigerians are always crying. Aren't they tired?
Mr. Bule, 6 trillion is being spent yearly, approximately 6 trillion yearly on subsidy. And we have stated it times without numbers that the consumption that we on paper that they say that Nigerians consume on petroleum product is way lower than what they are writing. So can they go out there and investigate those thieves? So are you telling me that for the past 8 years, about 8 years now, that you cannot mop out funds from those thieves, that even if you say you want to use those monies that they've stolen, both through oil theft, both in scam oil subsidy monies that have been paid to them, those monies should be enough for these palliatives that we are talking about. Okay, so that should be where an intelligent leader should be, what an intelligent leader should be talking about right now, and not going on high heavens because of our population. I need to call it minor $800 million for palliatives. My brother, when they the reactions will come now. We'll see it we'll see it here in Nigeria.
Very true. And that has always been my fear, that whether our government will be responsible enough to do the right thing when this subsidy is finally removed. Do the right thing before the removal and after the removal, but then we don't know. We're also following some of these developments very keenly, and we are watching what the federal government is doing. But for now, it is still on record that by June, July, subsidy will be taken out, except the incoming government changes that for the time being. But that's where we'll draw the curtain today. I want to thank you so much for always coming through. And to our viewers, thank you for watching today's episode. Until next time, we'll come your way again with the Newspaper Review. My name is William Sabule, and see you next time.